Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to Nepal.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, so specifically, we're going to be looking at this new e-governance blueprint that they've put out recently.
Yeah.
It's pretty ambitious.
Yeah, I was reading through some of the source material earlier,
Yeah.
and it seems like they're really trying to make a big change.
Well, and that's kind of what we're going to look into, like what is this all about?
Right.
And what it could mean for the future of Nepal. And one of the cool things is that a lot of our source material that we're looking at is actually in Nepali.
Hmm.
So we're getting like this really kind of unique on the ground perspective, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how they're framing this whole idea
Yeah.
of using technology to kind of transform their government.
Mhm.
And they're really pushing towards this digital Nepal vision.
Yeah.
It's not just like a talking point. It's like they're putting some real weight behind it.
Oh, so how so? Like what makes you say that?
Well, like I said, they see technology as this key to connecting
Mm-hmm.
the government with the people in a whole new way.
Okay.
So it's not just like putting up a website. It's like
Right.
really thinking about how technology can actually improve people's lives.
Okay, so we're talking about like a pretty significant impact on like everyday life.
Yeah, like think about it. What if things like renewing your passport or, registering a business
Mm-hmm.
were as easy as ordering food on your phone? That's
Yeah.
that's the kind of efficiency and accessibility they're aiming for.
Wow.
And, to show they're serious about this blueprint, it comes straight from the top.
Oh, really?
Nepal's e-governance board
Oh, okay.
under the Prime Minister's office.
So it's like they're really putting their money where their mouth is, I guess.
Yeah, you could definitely say that.
Okay.
And it wasn't just like, a couple of people came up with this idea.
Right.
I mean, they had all sorts of folks involved, government agencies, experts. There was a whole drafting committee dedicated to this. This blueprint, it's the result of a lot of collaboration and effort.
So it sounds like they're really trying to get this right.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we go any further, I think it would be helpful to like kind of take a step back and define what we're even talking about when we say e-governance.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What is it?
Basically, e-governance, or you could say electronic governance.
Yeah.
It's really about using technology to improve how the government works and serves the public.
Okay.
And we're talking about things like the internet, mobile apps, networks. It's all working together to make things more efficient, transparent, and accessible.
Okay. So it's kind of like using technology to break down those like bureaucratic barriers and kind of make the government work better for everyone.
That's a great way to put it. And, Nepal, they've actually been building towards this for a while.
Yeah.
They established the Electronic Governance Commission back in 2023.
Okay.
And that commission, it's like the driving force behind this whole blueprint.
Okay. So this blueprint is really kind of a combination of years of work, it sounds like.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, let's see. Now, one thing that I was curious about is that this blueprint, it's structured around 7 key pillars.
That's right.
So what are those pillars and how do they kind of all fit together?
Well, each pillar, you can think of it as representing a different strategic approach to digital transformation.
Okay.
Like the first one, the governance framework, it's all about establishing a clear structure for managing all of this. Kind of like creating an organizational chart for the digital world.
Okay. So figuring out who's in charge of what and making sure everyone's on the same page.
You got it. Then you have the legal and regulatory framework. This is where things get interesting because they're actually developing laws and regulations to support this digital shift.
Okay.
And really importantly, to protect people's data.
Right. Because with all this new technology, you're going to have a lot of data that you didn't have before.
Exactly.
And that's, data protection is a huge issue these days.
Huge.
Okay. So what's next? What's the next piece of the puzzle?
Well, the third pillar is digital literacy and skills development.
Okay.
And this is super important because you can't have a digital revolution if people don't know how to use the tools.
Right.
So they're focusing on giving citizens, equipping them with the skills they need to really thrive in this new digital landscape.
Yeah, makes sense. You kind of got to bring everyone along for the ride if you want to really make this work.
For sure.
Okay, so what about pillar number 4?
That would be digital standards.
Yeah.
And this is all about setting clear benchmarks for quality. So making sure all these different online systems that are being created can actually talk to each other seamlessly. You don't want to end up with a bunch of disconnected platforms.
Right. That would kind of defeat the purpose of the whole thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
streamlining things. Okay, so we've got a framework, we've got legal guidelines, we've got digital literacy,
hmm
and we've got standards.
Uh-huh.
What comes after that?
So then comes the guidelines and implementation pillar. And this is where the rubber meets the road. It's about making sure this plan actually gets implemented
Right.
effectively,
Yeah.
developing practical instructions and all of that.
Yeah, a plan is only as good as how well you execute it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and then what are the final two pillars?
The sixth one is regional and international cooperation.
Okay.
This is all about collaborating with other countries,
Okay.
other organizations, sharing knowledge, learning from each other's experiences.
So no one has to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Good.
And then last but not least is innovation, research, and development. So this is about, always looking for ways to improve, do things better, staying ahead of the curve because things are always changing
Yeah, technology is definitely constantly evolving, so
all the time.
yeah. Okay, this all sounds incredibly ambitious.
It is.
But I'm also kind of curious about like the practical benefits of this. Like, what can people in Nepal actually expect to see change in their lives because of this blueprint?
Well, the potential impact here is huge. I mean, you've got increased efficiency across the board.
Okay.
Streamlined processes, less paperwork, faster service delivery. Think about it. Less time waiting in line and more time getting things done.
That would be a welcome change for sure.
Yeah.
What else? What are some other things that they're aiming for?
Improved accessibility.
Okay.
So imagine being able to access government services no matter where you live,
Oh, okay.
online. This is really important for people in remote areas who might have to travel long distances.
So it's like leveling the playing field a little bit.
Exactly. And then there's also enhanced transparency.
Okay.
So, e-governance can help reduce corruption by making things more open and giving citizens access to information
Right.
that they may not have had before.
So it's like kind of holding people accountable.
Yeah, and it's not just about receiving information either. It's about participating. So e-governance creates new channels for communication,
Okay.
allows citizens to give feedback, have a say in things.
So empowering people to kind of be more active participants.
Exactly. And then finally, this blueprint, it envisions a future where the government uses all the data that's being collected to make better decisions.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Moving away from kind of like gut feelings and more towards,
Like evidence-based decision making.
evidence-based policy making.
Wow. So it sounds like they're aiming for a more efficient, transparent, and like you said, citizen-centric government.
That's the goal.
But let's be realistic. I mean, no project this ambitious is without its challenges. What are some potential hurdles that they might face trying to implement this?
That's true. There are always challenges. One of the biggest is going to be bridging the digital divide
Okay.
because not everyone in Nepal has equal access to technology and the internet.
Yeah, so making sure that this doesn't leave people behind.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's cybersecurity.
Right.
As we rely more on digital platforms, the risk of data breaches, hacking, that all increases.
Yeah. That's a huge issue these days.
It is. And then you also have the potential for resistance to change. I mean, some people, both within the government and just like regular people, might be hesitant to adopt all this new technology.
Yeah. I mean, change can be hard.
It can be. And we can't forget about the cost.
Right.
Implementing this kind of large-scale change, it's going to require a lot of investment in infrastructure, training, ongoing maintenance. It's a big undertaking.
An investment in the future, but
Right.
definitely something to keep in mind. Any other challenges that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, privacy is another big one.
Right.
As more data is collected, you really need to have strong data protection measures in place. You don't want people's information being misused.
It's definitely a balancing act, trying to balance innovation with protecting individual rights.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it sounds like they've got a lot to consider as they move forward with this plan, but it seems like they're already taking steps to make this happen. They've identified some key players, right?
Yeah.
Who are going to be important in this whole digital transformation process.
Yeah, so the Information Technology Department, they're going to be really central in regulating
Okay.
and promoting ICT development.
Yeah.
And then because data protection is so important, they're setting up a dedicated data protection authority.
Makes sense to have some experts leading the charge in those areas.
Yeah.
What about cybersecurity? How are they planning to kind of address those concerns?
Well, they're establishing a national cyber investigation and training center,
Okay.
and they're going to be responsible for building cybersecurity capacity.
Yeah.
And then they're also setting up a national cybersecurity center to kind of monitor threats and conduct digital forensics.
Wow. So they're really going all out.
They are, yeah. And this is also addressing a challenge that IT firms in Nepal have faced for years,
Oh, what's that?
the lack of clear data security laws
Okay.
and a dedicated body for data protection compliance. So this blueprint is trying to fix that.
It sounds like they've really thought this through pretty carefully.
It seems like it.
What else is included in this 3-year plan?
So they're aiming to draft a dedicated e-governance act.
Okay.
They're also going to restructure the information technology department
Okay.
to make it more efficient. And they're going to set up a data exchange platform so that all of the different government agencies can share information easily.
So they're really like building the legal framework, streamlining operations, and creating the infrastructure
Yeah.
needed for a truly kind of like digital government.
That's right.
But with all this talk about frameworks and pillars and all that, I'm kind of curious to see how this will actually play out in people's everyday lives.
Yeah.
Like, what are some real world examples of how e-governance could impact Nepal?
So imagine a couple in a remote village.
Okay.
They need to register their marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of traveling for hours to get to a government office,
Yeah.
they can just do it online.
Okay.
That's the power of what we call G2C, government-to-citizen interaction.
So cutting down on travel time, bureaucracy, and making these essential services more accessible.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. What about impact on businesses?
Well, let's say you're a small business owner.
Mm-hmm.
You need to renew your license.
Right.
With e-governance, you can do it all online.
Okay.
Save time and money.
Makes sense.
That's what we call GDB, government to business.
So streamlining processes for businesses, definitely good for the economy.
Yeah.
What about the government employees themselves?
Well, imagine government officials attending online training sessions
Okay.
or conferences,
Right.
improving their skills without having to travel. That's G2E, government to employee.
Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like upskilling the government workforce.
Exactly.
We can't leave out government to government, right?
Oh, of course not. Imagine different agencies sharing records, plans, all online.
Right.
Improves coordination, efficiency. That's GTG collaboration.
So breaking down those silos and having like a more connected government.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like they're really trying to cover all the bases.
Yeah, these are just a few examples, but e-governance can really make a difference.
So it's not just like some abstract concept. It's about real people.
Yeah.
Real problems, real solutions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's about using technology to make life better for everyone.
All right. Well, this has been a deep dive indeed.
It has.
We've explored the vision, the pillars, the potential benefits, challenges, and even some real-world examples of how this could all work. It seems clear that Nepal is on the verge of a pretty major digital shift here.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's a bold and ambitious plan. But if they can pull it off, it could revolutionize how their government works and bring Nepal closer to that digital Nepal vision.
I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the potential here. It's exciting to see a country kind of embracing technology in this way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Okay, so we've laid out this vision for Nepal's e-governance blueprint,
Right.
explored the 7 pillars.
Yeah.
We've even imagined, what some of the real-world impacts could be.
Mm.
But I'm curious about the journey that brought Nepal to this point.
Okay.
Like what led them to create this plan.
Well, it's important to understand that this isn't just some sudden leap.
Right.
Nepal's been moving towards digital governance for a while.
Okay.
It's been a gradual evolution,
Okay.
and a lot of factors have influenced that.
So what were some of the key moments or turning points?
Like what really paved the way for this blueprint?
Yeah.
One of the biggest drivers has been just the huge growth of internet and mobile phone usage in Nepal.
Okay.
I mean, you need that basic infrastructure in place
Right.
before you can even think about digital governance.
Right. Yeah, it's like you need roads before you can have cars.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Nepal has seen a really remarkable increase in internet penetration
Okay.
in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really created this fertile ground
Okay.
for initiatives like this one.
So the technology is there.
Yeah. But it's not just about the technology.
Right.
There was also this growing demand from the people
Okay.
in Nepal
Hmm.
for better government services.
So the citizens themselves were kind of pushing for this change.
Yeah, absolutely. They
Wow.
were tired of the bureaucracy,
Hmm.
the slow processes,
Right.
and the limited access to essential services.
Okay.
And they saw technology as this way
Yeah.
to overcome those challenges.
It's interesting how, like, societal shifts and technological advancements kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, they really do.
They feed off of each other.
Yeah. And in Nepal's case, I think those forces converged
Okay.
at kind of the perfect time
Yeah.
to make this blueprint possible.
Okay.
It's not just a top-down thing.
Right.
It's a response to what the people need and want.
I think that's what makes this so interesting.
Right.
But, we've talked a lot about the positive potential here.
Yeah.
But what about the other side of the coin?
Okay.
What are some of the potential downsides or unintended consequences
Sure.
of this kind of digital shift?
That's a really important question. And
Yeah.
one concern that I have
Mm-hmm.
is that it could actually increase social inequalities.
Oh, okay. How so?
If it's not implemented carefully,
Right.
you could actually see a widening of the gap
Okay.
between those who have access to technology
Right.
and those who don't.
So the digital divide could become even more pronounced.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Are there any other concerns?
Well, data misuse
Right.
and privacy breaches are a big worry.
Yeah, with all this data being collected, stored.
Yeah, you have to think about security.
Yeah, it's a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
You gain all this efficiency, convenience, but then you also increase the risk of that data being compromised.
It's true.
Well, what about cybersecurity threats?
That's a major concern as well.
I mean, imagine like essential services being disrupted
Right.
or sensitive information being compromised because of a cyber
But,
attack.
the consequences could be really bad.
Yeah, so it's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Between embracing the benefits of the technology,
Mm.
but also mitigating the risks.
Exactly. Careful planning,
Right.
robust security measures,
Mhm.
and constant vigilance.
Technology is a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool,
Mm-hmm.
it can be used for good or for bad.
That's right.
But let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about how this e-governance blueprint could actually reshape
Okay.
Nepali society.
Mm.
What are some areas where we might see the biggest impact?
Well, one area with a lot of potential is education.
Oh.
Imagine all students in Nepal, no
Mhm.
matter where they live
Right.
or their background,
Mhm.
having access to high-quality online learning resources.
That could really change things.
Yeah, especially for students in those remote areas
Right.
who might not have access to good schools.
Yeah, that would be revolutionary.
Yeah, and the government could actually track student progress,
Oh, okay.
identify areas where they need additional support,
Mhm.
and then tailor the education programs
Oh, wow.
to meet those needs.
So it's not just access, it's actually about improving the quality.
Yeah, using data to make education more effective.
Okay, that's fascinating. What about healthcare?
I think we could see a big impact there, too.
Okay.
Think about telemedicine,
Okay.
online appointment booking,
Mhm.
digital health records.
Yeah.
All this could really change the healthcare landscape in Nepal.
Especially in those rural areas
Right.
where access is limited.
Exactly.
So they could potentially consult with doctors remotely.
Yeah.
Streamline patient care.
Mhm.
Improve the efficiency of the whole system.
It's about bringing healthcare to the people
Yeah.
who need it most.
Yeah, and these are just a couple examples.
Yeah.
The possibilities seem endless.
The potential for e-governance is huge.
Mm-hmm.
We could see impacts in agriculture, finance, tourism,
Wow.
you name it.
So they're trying to use technology to address those big challenges
Yeah,
facing Nepal and
Mhm.
create a better future for everyone.
that's the goal.
I can see why people are so excited about this.
It's a bold vision,
Yeah.
and if they can implement it effectively,
Mm-hmm.
I think it could have a huge impact.
Now, Nepal isn't the first country
Right.
to try this kind of digital transformation.
Uh-huh.
Are there any lessons they can learn from others?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
There's a global trend towards this,
Mm-hmm.
using technology to improve government services
Right.
and citizen engagement.
Yeah.
And Nepal can learn a lot.
Okay, like what?
Well, one of the most important lessons is to put the citizens
Mm-hmm.
at the center of this whole process.
Right. Make sure it's actually addressing your needs.
Exactly. That's key.
Okay, what else?
You need really strong data protection
Right.
and cybersecurity measures in place from the very beginning.
Okay.
If you want people to trust the system,
Yeah, if you want them to use it.
right, you have to protect your data.
Definitely.
Anything else?
Okay.
Oh, you need a clear roadmap for implementation.
Okay.
So you got to have well-defined goals,
Mm-hmm.
realistic timelines,
Right.
and accountability.
so that the plan actually happens.
Okay.
It's one thing to have a great plan on paper,
Yeah.
but turning that vision into reality,
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole other challenge.
It is.
But it sounds like they've thought this through pretty well.
It seems like it.
And they're really committed to learning from others.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been really insightful.
It has.
I mean, we've uncovered the historical context,
Mm-hmm.
explored the potential benefits and challenges,
Yeah.
and we even caught a glimpse of what the future might look like
Yeah.
with e-governance.
It's a journey, that's for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens next.
Now, in our final segment,
Okay.
we're going to shift our focus to like the concrete steps
Okay.
that are being taken
Yep.
to make all this a reality.
Right.
We'll delve into the implementation phase
Yeah.
and what it means for the future of Nepal.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've talked about the vision, the challenges, the historical context, all of that.
Right.
But now I want to know how they're actually going to make this happen. Like, what are the concrete steps they're taking to implement this plan?
Well, the blueprint, it lays out this phased approach.
Okay.
And they're starting with some initiatives that they think they can implement pretty quickly.
Oh, okay. So kind of like those early wins.
Exactly. Things that'll demonstrate the benefits
Mm-hmm.
of e-governance
Mm-hmm.
and build momentum.
Okay, so what are some of those early win type projects that they're prioritizing?
One of the big ones is expanding digital literacy and skills development programs.
Makes sense.
They know that to make this work, people need those skills
Yeah.
to navigate this new digital world.
It's like you got to teach people to drive before you give them the car, right?
Exactly. And they're also putting a lot of effort into developing secure and interoperable platforms.
Okay.
That's the foundation for everything.
Right.
Making sure all these different online systems can actually talk to each other.
So no more like data silos or systems that don't work together?
Nope, gone.
Yeah.
They're also working on streamlining existing government processes,
Okay.
making them more efficient and user-friendly.
So less bureaucracy and faster service.
Exactly. They want to
Yeah.
show people this isn't just theoretical.
Right.
It's about making their lives easier.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So what about some of the longer term goals? What are they kind of aiming for once those early initiatives are in place?
Well, one of the most ambitious goals is to create a unified digital identity for every citizen.
Oh, wow.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
One single digital ID
Okay.
that you could use for everything.
So accessing services, voting, all that.
Exactly. Streamline so many processes
Yeah.
and reduce fraud.
Okay, cool. What else is on the horizon?
They're also working towards a national data exchange platform.
Hmm.
This would connect all of the different agencies,
Mm-hmm.
allow them to share information
Okay.
seamlessly and securely.
So it's really like that connected government that we were talking about.
Yeah, no more silos, and it would lead to better decision making.
Right, using that data.
Exactly.
Okay, so those are some pretty big goals.
They are.
And we've already talked about some of the potential challenges and risks.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing to make sure that this project's a success and to mitigate those risks?
Well, one thing they're doing is fostering this culture of transparency and accountability
Okay.
throughout the whole process. They want to keep citizens informed and involved.
So it's not just a top-down approach. They're actually getting input from the people.
Exactly. It's about building trust
Mm-hmm.
and making sure these changes are actually benefiting them.
And it's also important to make sure that technology is being used ethically and responsibly,
Oh, absolutely.
especially when we're talking about something like data.
Right. They're addressing that by investing heavily in cybersecurity
Okay.
to protect that data.
Yeah.
And they're also developing a strong legal framework for data protection and privacy.
So they're really trying to protect individual rights in the digital age.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted approach.
Wow. It sounds like they're really trying to think of everything.
A big undertaking,
Yeah.
but they seem committed to getting it right.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive. We've explored the vision, the challenges, the historical context, the implementation. It's clear that Nepal is going through this really significant digital transformation.
Yes.
And it'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out. What stands out to you most about this whole project?
I think it's the ambition of it all. This isn't just about making small changes.
Right.
This is a complete overhaul.
A total shift in how the government works.
Exactly.
It's a pretty bold statement,
It is.
showing that they're embracing this digital age.
It's really a powerful example of using technology to make things better for everyone.
Yeah. This deep dive has given me a lot to think about. And honestly, I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
Me too.
It's a reminder that technology is changing everything.
It really is.
And the choices we make today are going to shape the future.
So keep learning, keep asking questions.
That's what we're all about here.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, until next time.